We are live. We're alive. We're alive. We're alive. All right. I feel like it's been a minute since I've been here. So, if you guys are watching from YouTube, welcome in. If you guys are watching from Facebook, welcome in. If you guys are watching from Twitch, welcome in. You guys are new to the crew in regards to the live stream. So I do appreciate you guys if you are watching from twitch.tv. If you're watching from Monumental Podcast YouTube, thank you for coming in. If you are watching from the King of Self Love YouTube, I appreciate you for being here. And if you're watching from Facebook, you already know what it is. I appreciate you for coming. You guys didn't have to be here, but you are here. So if you guys are watching the replay, I appreciate you for watching the replay. My name is Emmanuel Pierre, or you can call me Coach E. Pierre. I am your certified empowerment coach, dedicated to assisting you with discipline and confidence and showing you that there's more to self-love than the normal aspect of what it is. Today's topic is a little different, right? Um, today's topic is when the unhealed become leaders. Pretty much the blind leading the blind, right? The blind leading the blind, the unaware leading the unaware, right? The toxic leading them all. Like if we think about it, most people when they're unhealed, when they're not focusing on themselves, when they're not trying to become the better version of themselves, they're leading from their wounds. They're leading from their trauma. They're leading from their triggers. Advice that they give you are not from a healed place. It's from a toxic place. So when you have a person that wants to be the let's do it team type of person, but yet they can't even manage and focus on their own uh, leadership in a sense, right? They can't even lead themselves, let alone try to lead anybody else. But they'll try, right? They'll try. They'll put on that mask and try to make themselves look like a leader, look like the positive person, right? But something will always trigger. Something will always trigger them because they don't have the tools necessary to prevent the trigger from happening. They necessarily don't have the tools to minimize the trauma when something surfaces. And the energy and the conversation that they'll give you in that will be from the wound. It'll be from the unhealed person. It'll become from the toxic version of themselves, right? Think about that for a second. How many people we know who hasn't done the work, right? Will give you some crazy, crazy, crazy advice, right? But it's at the time it seemed like it made sense. But when you think about it and you sit there and think about it, you're like, I don't think I like that. I don't think I like that. I don't know. I don't know if I like that idea of cheating because he cheated on me or doing something toxic because they did it to me, right? Like they try to make you match energy. What up, Bernard? Welcome in, bro. Thank you for being here. You know what I'm saying? So imagine somebody who is either a community leader, your boss, right? A business owner, a motivational speaker, a coach, a therapist who hasn't done the work. They haven't done the work, right? But they want this leadership role. They want to be the one to help people be better. Now, I'm not saying there's not individuals that can't do that, right? There's people that can still help people and still focus on working on themselves, but that's not the people we're talking about today. We're talking about the people that refuse to work on themselves, but for some reason want to try to lead everybody. Y'all heard the phrase "the blind leading the blind," right? We all heard that phrase before. I know we all, because I have it. I have. I've seen it. I've seen it in real time, without saying any names. I've seen it in real time. The blind leading the blind, the dumb leading the dumb, the stupid leading the stupid, right? And the unhealed and the toxic leading the unhealed and the toxic. They're just trying to just spread that energy everywhere, right? Because they think that they know what they're talking about. They think that they can give you whatever. It sounds good. They mask it well, right? But the advice that they give you, they don't even take it themselves, right? They don't even do the things that they tell you to do. Like for example, Bernard, if I told you that, and let's say you're having issues with your dad, you're having issues with your father, right? And you come to me and have a conversation with me about the issues that you're having with your dad, right? And I tell you, maybe you need to sit down and have a conversation with him so he can hear you. But I myself have the same issues with my dad, but don't do the same thing that I just told you to do. I'm moving completely different, giving you just blind advice. Don't even know how the outcome is going to be. Just tell you to do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just tell you to do it. Sounds good. It sounds great. You know, the delivery was on point. The words, you use the correct words. It just made you feel good because that's what you really want to do, but you needed that validation for somebody to tell you to do it. So they gave you that validation that you needed, even though it probably wasn't the right decision and the right advice to give you. You feel me? It wasn't the right advice at that time. But that same advice that they gave you, they won't even use it for themselves on any occasion whatsoever, right? So, what does that look like? The problem with unhealed leadership, right? A lot of people that are unhealed are not leading from wisdom. No experiences. They're not learning the lessons from the mistakes that they made. They're not learning the lessons from the trauma that they dealt with in their lived experience. They're not doing none of this, right? So none of the experiences that they need and the lessons that they need to learn has been applied yet because they haven't gone through the process, right? So now instead of it being coming from somebody with wisdom, somebody that has done the work, somebody that has seen the mistakes that they made and the things that, that the things that they've been through, and they learned that lesson. Advice is just opinions. If they work, they become facts. Facts. Agreed, 100%. Right? But think about somebody that's giving you advice that doesn't do the work. Right? They don't know that it's gonna work. They're just kind of just blindly giving this to you. They've never done it themselves. They haven't put in any effort to make it seem to see if that was even gonna work, right? For them to give you that advice. They're expecting you to take that advice, run with it, try it out to see if it works. And if it works, cool. If it doesn't, oh well, because it's really not their responsibility after that, right? They're not gonna take it as responsibility after they give you that shitty ass advice. Because if it backfires on you when you take their advice, the only person that they're gonna blame is you. You should never took my advice. You didn't have to take my advice. I just put those words out there. They're not gonna take accountability for it. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna take accountability for it. It's just all right. You took my advice, you ran with it, and you tried to do what you can with it, and then it failed and it backfired. Now you're like 10 steps behind, more than what you already were, because you took this person's advice that wasn't sound advice, right? They didn't even attempt to put in the work to see if this thing that they told you to do even worked. It was just blind. And then there was blind trust in the words that they gave you, and you just ran with it. It's like blind loyalty, blind trust. You're just like, all right, I'm just gonna take their word for it, and hopefully this works because I've been trying to figure this out and I can't figure it out. And what they gave me sounds good, right? It sounds good. It validates me, right? It validates what, they tried to validate your feelings and the things that you were struggling with. It wasn't logic. Boom, ran with it. Put you in a bigger ditch than you were when you already had climbed out halfway out this ditch. Now you just falling all the way back down because of the advice that you took from them. You got to think about that. When we take advice from people who haven't done the work, when we take advice from people who can't give you clear instructions or clear experience behind the advice that they gave you, right? They can't tell you if they did it themselves. They can't tell you that it worked for them. They're kind of just like, I heard it somewhere. I heard it from this person and they said that it worked. It's not their lived experience, but it's somebody else's. I heard it from somewhere. I was in a conversation with somebody and they told us about this and they said that it worked. So, I thought I'd give it to you to see if you can, it might work for you. I don't know. You know, they won't take accountability for giving you this advice, though. They'll try to spin around it, right? They'll give you every other response except I have done it for myself and it worked. It's, I got it from somebody else, or, I heard something, I read it somewhere, I thought it worked, They're not gonna say I haven't tried it myself. They'll be like, no, maybe you should try it to see if it works for you, you know? And if it works for you, cool. I'm glad. I hope it works for you. You not once did they ever say that they actually attempted it. But we don't catch that though, right? Because the words sound good when they give it to you. We're not even thinking about the fact that they didn't even give you their experience. It doesn't. It's in just in general, right? Just in general, Bernard. It hasn't had to be anything in particular, right? It's just more so when somebody that hasn't done the work try to take on a leadership quality, right? Take a leadership role and give people advice and keep people guidance in a leadership role, but they themselves haven't done the work. They themselves haven't experienced what they needed to experience to be in that leadership role. But they're willing to try to give people advice on things that they had themselves haven't experienced yet or haven't gone through yet. And if they did go through it, they didn't put in the work to gain the lesson or learn the mistakes that they made from this situation. But yet they're trying to give advice to people and expecting people to just run with this advice. And then next thing you know, you fall apart, or the situation or the advice that they give you don't work. Now you're shuffling. I thought this was gonna work. This sounded good. To give me all this advice. You know what I'm saying? Now you're shuffling around. Now you're trying to figure out, left from right, A to B, because you thought this was gonna work. You was thought this was like, this was it. You know what I'm saying? Like you thought this was that hit. You know what I'm saying? That advice that's really gonna work, but it didn't. Right? A lot of people that go through this process, right? They usually are not guiding from clarity. Like they don't have no clear clarity on the things that you're talking about, or the experience needed to give you this advice. Like you got to hear that when there's not experience behind what they're trying to give you, you have to take that warning, right? Because why take advice to somebody that hasn't experienced the things that you're talking about? What can they really possibly give you? You know what I'm saying? If they haven't experienced it. But that goes for a lot of people, and not just like your friends and family, right? It goes for coaches, it goes for therapists, right? They haven't experienced these things. They can't really help you the way that you want the help. They're willing to they're willing to let out their experience with you, right? When somebody's been through things, like for example, for me, since I've done the podcast, since I started the podcast 5 years ago, every single situation that I've been through, I've vocalized it, right? Been full transparency, no sugarcoating, no nothing. They know, like you guys would know everything that I've been through because I have nothing to hide. I'll tell you the mistake that I made. I'll tell you the lesson that I learned, and I'll tell you exactly what helped me in that process. If a person is not willing to tell you the experiences that they had to teach you, right? Because that's the point of the advice, is to teach you something different than what you've already tried. If they're not able to do that, then they shouldn't be giving you any advice at all. They shouldn't be giving advice, especially if the conversation that you're having with them triggers them. If the conversation that you're having triggers them, like for example, if me and you are having a conversation about our dads, right? And you're telling me about the situation that you had with your dad, Bernard, and that conversation triggers me to the point where I can't really have that conversation with you fully and give you some type of sound advice, then me and you shouldn't be having that conversation. It doesn't work. Because how am I supposed to give you advice when I can't even function right now? I can't even get myself regulated enough to even have that conversation with you. You know what I'm saying? That's something that you have to look at. You have to look at the body language. You have to look at the behaviors, the language that they're using. Because if you can recognize that they're giving you the same energy that you're giving them when you're actually vocalizing what you're vocalizing, then they can't help you. Because a person that can help will be able to regulate themselves in the conversation. But if they sound jittery, they sound scared, you know what I'm saying? They're tripping over their words, sound tongue tied, right? There's certain things that you'll catch when you're having a conversation with this person to know that maybe I shouldn't be taking this person's advice. You know what I'm saying? So you'll catch little cues, but you have to pay attention to those cues. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the words sound so good we ignore these little signs, but you have to pay attention to all of it. So pay attention to the cues, pay attention to the signs, pay attention to everything that they're giving you. So that way when that happens, you'll be able to catch what you need to catch. Words are good, but the body language will tell you everything that you need to know. You know what I'm saying? So one of the things is when somebody hasn't dealt with the pain that they've experienced in their life and they step into leadership roles, and that is it doesn't matter if it's in the family, if it's in a relationship, job, friends, group, whatever, right? They have a tendency to pass down that blueprint that they have on how they operate, right? So when you're real close with somebody, you start to embody their behaviors, embody their language, embody the way they operate, the way they move, especially if you're real tight with this person, right? If you're real cool with this person, you start doing certain things that they do, right? And most of the time, the person that you mimic is the person that's hurt, the person that's broken. Welcome in, everybody. I see we got 7 people in here. I appreciate you guys for being here. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, all the good stuff. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate you guys for being here. But when you have an individual that is passing down broken blueprints, right? The way that they operate when their triggers happen, the way they operate when their trauma happens, right? The way that they communicate with people, the way that their trust issues is like they lack the ability to trust people, they lack their ability to take accountability, like all of these toxic traits, right? All of these things, these negative things, negative attracts a lot faster than positive. Okay. I want you guys to hear that. Negative attracts a lot faster than positive. So you'll get somebody that's negative, doing all these negative things, acting the way that they're acting. They're not taking accountability for their actions. They're doing things to step over your boundaries. They don't have healthy boundaries themselves. So they're constantly doing crazy shit. But because we care about these people and we care about this person, we just continue to allow it to keep happening. Right? We don't say nothing. We don't vocalize that we're bothered by it. We're just like, all right, this is just who they are, right? You know, that's who they are. We just accept everybody who they are. Who am I to judge the person for who they are, right? Cool. Sounds good. It sounds good in your head until you start mimicking the same behaviors that they start to mimic. They start to do, and you start acting the way they act, and you start moving the way they move. And next thing you know, you're moving just like them in a very unhealthy, toxic way. But the difference between you and them in regards to this situation is the moment you realize that you're doing this, you're going to start to question a lot of things, right? You're not really moving authentic if you're embodying other people's behaviors. You're not really being you in that sense, right? You're literally a mimic, just a duplicate, doppelganger. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what that looks like. So when that happens and the person actually starts to put in the work and starts to heal and start to recognize that their patterns match his patterns or her patterns. Their behaviors match his behaviors and her behaviors. They have the same trust issues because they've been around each other for so long that you embody their trust issues. Like a lot of the stuff, is their energy that you're inheriting on top of yours, right? And next thing you know, you can't figure out left from right or what's yours and what's not yours. Now you're working 10 times harder to heal from things that are not yours on top of the things that is yours. That birds of a feather flock together phrase that people use a lot, is a factual phrase. They just use it in the wrong terms. When it comes to energy and behavior and language and body language and all of these things, yes, it happens. Birds of a feather flock together. You start embodying the things and the behaviors and the attitudes of the people that you're around consistently. You don't realize it until you decide to move out the way and start to actually heal. If you are that person that moves out the way and starts to heal, you start to recognize these things. Like, I wasn't being me. I wasn't being authentic. None of this was actually who I am as a person, in my character. My personality is not like this. My character is not like this. How do I change this? But usually the person that's the most toxic is the one that runs the group. The one that's unhealed, the one that's giving everybody all this advice, be the person that runs the group. No, you're good, bro. You're good. That's usually what happens. The person that's the leader, that runs the friends group, that runs the family, they be the most toxic person. They want control, they want power, they want all of these things that a leader that a leader should have, right? But they themselves can't really operate correctly and operate the way that a leader should operate because they get triggered easily. They're fucking, you know what I'm saying? Their wounds show up, they resurface. Their inner child is the one that's controlling the adult. All the things that they've been through as children, the trauma, all that stuff that they experienced in life that they haven't healed from, that inner child is taking over. That inner child is the one that's running the boat. That's controlling the body, that's controlling the behaviors, the attitudes, the temper tantrums, all of that stuff that they end up doing and having, and the behaviors that show. That's not the adult doing that. That's because they haven't healed from the things that they've been through. But we won't recognize these things because unhealed people like to stick together. They like to spend a lot of time together. They stick together. But they find the one that seems semi-healed, even though they're not, to let them run the show, run the leader group, right? But it's crazy how that happens. But it's a group of people that really don't want to be led, but they don't know how to say no. They don't know how to walk away because who wants to really be alone, right? Who wants to be the black sheep of the friend group or the family, right? Who wants to be the one that's talked about in the group chats and the family functions and the friend functions? Because I decided to be the one to move out the way and start doing things on my own and start trying to become better, right? A lot of people don't want to do that. They rather stick to what they know versus what can be better for them. And next thing you know, is you're just repeating cycles and cycles all over again. And the older you get, the more difficult it becomes to actually heal from this stuff because it's your lived experience for your whole life. So when it's time to actually heal from these things, it's hard to. It's hard to break free from all of this because that's all you know. All you know is to be a follower. You don't know how to lead yourself to move away, right? You don't know how to tell anybody no and stand on your no. You don't have any healthy boundaries. You don't have any of these things that should help you be able to operate by yourself and be okay being by yourself, because there's nothing wrong with being by yourself, especially if you're in a space or an environment that's not good for your healing. That's not good for your mental, right? We tend to stick to that environment because it's comfortable. But when it's time to be uncomfortable and it's time to put this work in, people don't be alone to go to the gym and go out where people will be there. There's always someone around you. Yeah, it can. And listen, like, you got to think about it this way, right? One of the things I told one of my clients, because she's an empty nester, was you spent a lot of time doing everything for everybody else. Okay, you did all that you can do for everybody. Now it's time to focus on you. So We sat down, we tried to figure out what she loved to do, what she likes to do. And I said, is it going to be possible for you to do this alone? She said, it's not going to be easy, but I think I can. I should be able to with no problem. So we made a list of things that she loves to do. She loves to dance. She loves to travel. She loves to do all these things. Her children are grown. You know what I'm saying? She has nobody in the house. It's just her. So I'm like, do what you have to do for you. You know what I'm saying? Focus on you. Work on you. Do what you have to do for you. You don't have to respond to nobody. If it ain't an emergency, you know what I'm saying? Then focus on you. That's what she did. You know what? And it took one conversation for this change, that shift. She started going out dancing. She joined a dance group. She was doing all these good things. She's moving around. We're getting messages from her like, yo, I'm going out dancing. I'm going out this. She's doing all of these things by herself and removing all the toxic people around her, all the negative energy around her. She's just focusing on her. If she can do it, anybody can do it. You know what I'm saying? It's possible. You have to want it. You don't have to be led by somebody that doesn't want to heal. Because most people that are in the friends group that are leading this shit don't want to heal. They're not going to therapy. They're not getting coached. They're not doing none of these positive things to focus on what needs to be focused on. They're just surviving. They're just operating and surviving. And you guys are matching energy. You guys are trauma bonding. You guys are doing all of these things that's keeping you guys together, right? Until that one person breaks apart, that friends group, that keeps the friend group tight, right? That one person that just decides to move out the way, right? They start going to therapy, they start getting coaching, they start learning the tools that they need so that way they become better, right? So that way they can heal. Next thing you know, they're being talked about because they're moving different, they're operating different. The energy is not the same. They're not matching energy with the negative shit. They're not matching energy with the toxic stuff. They're finding their peace. They're finding balance, right? They're working on the hard things, the difficult things. They're working on their inner child. They're working on the trauma and the stuff that they've been struggling with their whole life. The things that make it difficult for them to be in healthy relationships. Things that make it difficult for them to trust people. They're working on all of these good things to make themselves better than they're yesterday. But the friend group, they don't like that. They don't like that. You're moving different. They don't like that you're moving different. The leader don't like the fact that they can't control you no more. So now you're the point of conversation now because you're moving different. You're operating different, right? You start doing things for you. So you become the conversation starter. You become the conversation in the group chat. You getting all the side eyes. You know what I'm saying? They're no longer liking your shit on social media. You know what I'm saying? They're throwing little jabs, they throwing little backhanded compliments, and they're doing all these things to try to get you flustered. But you stay the course, right? You stay focused. You start doing the things that's necessary. Keep going, right? The only reason why they're bothered is because they can't do what you're doing. They couldn't step away from the toxic leader, the unhealed leader, right? You did. You moved out the way and you started focusing on you. And as I'm talking to you guys, I'm talking to myself because I was the person that couldn't walk away at one point, right? And then when I walked away, I noticed that life was better on the other side. Grass was greener, I promise you, right? The grass was greener. It was a beautiful thing. Did I lose a lot of people? Absolutely. Did I give a fuck? At one point. Do I give a fuck now? I don't. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't care. I don't care because the same people that I moved away from are still doing the same bullshit. They're still walking around unhealed. They're still walking around toxic. They're still walking around doing the bullshit, right? They're still walking around being enabled. They're still walking around being that toxic leader and having all those toxic followers and those unhealed followers and the negative people and all the negative stuff. Cool. That's what you want to do. Have fun with that. I wish you all the best. I'm just not going to be a part of it because I have no reason to. I've already experienced this shit. This shit's boring. Now let me go on the other side and let me actually heal and let me work on myself and be better and see things on a brighter side. So that way I'm not over here struggling to wake up every morning and my energy's low every time because I don't recognize myself in the mirror. Because I spent so much time around you motherfuckers, right? That I didn't recognize myself. So now I got to focus on figuring out who I am, finding what I like, finding what I love, finding my hobbies, finding all these things about me that I didn't know about because I chose not to work on myself for all this amount of time, right? Which is one thing that we can't get back is time. The less time we work on ourselves, the less time we have. The more time we spend on the negative shit, the less time we have doing the positive shit. You know what I'm saying? We can't get that back. Love yourself. What are your interests? Yeah. What did you like when you was a child? I loved playing the drums. I had a drum set when I was a kid. I love playing the drums. I always loved music. I loved video games. I loved art. I loved drawing. These are the things that I do now outside the drumming. I ain't got a drum set anymore, but one day I'm gonna get one. You know what I'm saying? But I love listening to music. I make music with the AI so I can listen to the stuff that I like to listen to. I draw. I do creative graphics with the AI. I do it with my with Canva. I do it all these stuff right just to keep myself because that's my hobby. Just the things I like creating things right. Stuff that this shirt I had on I created it. This is mine. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I find things that keep me at peace right? And I make sure that I don't step into spaces that make me uncomfortable with my peace. Keyword, my peace. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna go into spaces that make my peace feel uncomfortable, no matter what it is. And nobody's bigger than my peace. There's nobody bigger than my peace at all. No friends, no family, nada, nada. And that right there is a difficult thing for a lot of people is to put themselves first, right? You hear a lot of people that say they put themselves first, but then you see them revert back to the same things that made them uncomfortable, that made them, you know what I'm saying, that drove them back to the chaos, back to the negativity. Do you go places where they play live music? I mean, I've been to places that play live music. Absolutely, I've been to concerts. At one point, I went to this space in Newport. There's like this jazz place in Newport. I went there a few years back, like a while ago. You know what I'm saying? I let my peace be disturbed. I don't even do that, Bernard. I don't even do that. My peace is my peace, regardless if I love you or not. That piece is number one. That piece is number one. Because when you give somebody an inch, they take a mile. You get what I'm saying? When somebody takes, you give that person an inch, they take a mile. And next thing you know, you're back reverting to your old cycles. You know what I'm saying? So that piece is exactly what it is. It's yours. Nobody's bigger than that. There's nobody that should be bigger than that, unless it's your kids. That's different. Your kids are different, but even then, sometimes I be checking my kids. You know what I'm saying? So, but there's a difference between doing things for people you love and making sure that you are at peace. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference in that. You can always do things for people that you love. So I'll give you a great example, right? Let's say that you have a cup that is filled to the brim. Okay. That cup that's filled to the brim is for you, right? That's your energy, that's your peace, that's everything that's yours, right? That cup is filled. Anything past that is an overflow, right? That overflow, you can delegate it to whoever you want to delegate it to, whether it's your kids, your spouse, your family, your friends, right? The moment that it starts to dip into your cup, that becomes a problem because that cup It's supposed to be for you and only for you. If you choose to dip in that cup and then you see that cup slowly start to deplete, your energy starts to deplete. The less that you have for yourself, the more it depletes. The less that you have for yourself, the less energy you have for yourself, the less that you're going to be able to operate, the less that you're going to be able to move around, the less that you're going to be able to focus on you because you no longer have energy to do anything. But if you keep this as full as possible and delegate, you know what I'm saying, the overflow to whoever you want to delegate it to, then that's cool. At least you know at the end of the day, you're going to have enough for you. When you feel like you don't have enough for you, you need to take a step back and realize that and figure out, why am I giving so much energy to people that don't deserve my energy, regardless if I love them or not. That full cup is supposed to be for me and me only. And you have to embody that mindset, because if you don't, you will start giving that energy to everybody. Right? Think about it like this. That cup is a no. That's your no, right? Because what no is a complete sentence. Complete sentence. So this cup, it cannot be touched by nobody else but you. Keep your dirty fingers off my cup. It's a no. Period, point blank. I ain't got to explain it. I ain't got to give you no reason. The answer is no. Right? Put that cup away. Overflow, do whatever the fuck you want with it. Give it to whoever you want to give it to. Just don't give them your cup. Just don't give them the cup. The cup is for you. I'm gonna stand on that. The cup is for you, and it's always gonna be for you. No matter how much you want to sit there and act like you want to give that energy to somebody, that's your attachment styles talking. That's your anxiety talking. That's you telling yourself that you don't want nobody to feel like alone. That because you felt alone before. You know how it feels to be alone, so you don't want nobody to feel like that. Cool, I understand that. Just don't give it from your cup. Give that from your overflow. Help them from your overflow. The moment that you see that is gone, then take a step back, recharge, and go back out there. But don't give it from your cup. I promise you, you're not gonna like how it feels. You're not gonna like how it feels. It's not a good feeling when you have no energy for yourself to do the things that you want to do and experience the things that you want to experience. You know what I'm saying? It's not a good feeling. I promise you, it's not. Think about how many people that we know personally, right, has to always constantly wear a mask, have to constantly find another way to operate. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be drinking, smoking, other creative activities. We're not going to say it out loud because I'm live. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine having to use something to make yourself feel good every single time because you can't do it yourself. You have to find something to make yourself feel good. For unhealed leaders, is the people that follow them. You guys give that person all the energy in the world. Why? Because they have control over the way that you think, the way that you operate, and the way that you move. They could tell when your emotions is all over the place, so they know how to control that. They know when your mindset's all over the place, so they know how to control that. You know what I'm saying? They pay attention to your body language, so they know how you operating, and you know what I'm saying? They know all of this thing. They know all of this. They enjoy the dysfunction 100%. And the only way to get rid of them is to heal. That's the only way to get rid of them, because they're not going to like the fact that they can't control you anymore. They won't like the fact that they can't control you. I've seen it. Been there. Like a book. They're reading you like a book. You're literally giving them the blueprint to how you operate on an everyday basis. That's what you're doing. You're giving them every opportunity to know exactly how you move every single time. But you won't realize that until it's too late. But when you open your eyes, when you start to recognize these things, then you can literally move out the way. I'm not saying it's easy. I know I'm talking like it's easy. It's not easy. It's very difficult, right? Because, like I said, it's your lived experience, something that you've been doing for a very long time, if you're that person. Right. I agree with you, Bernard, 100%. I don't disagree with that at all, right? You have to you have to be mindful that nobody is more important than you. There's nobody on this earth. I'm not talking about God, because I know that people like to throw that in there. I'm not talking about God. I'm talking about the people that are living in your life currently. Nobody's more important than you. Because when you have people that rely on you, right, you have to be able to be a functioning person so that way they can effectively rely on you. Parents, I'm talking about you. Yeah, I'm talking about you. If you want to be the leader of your household, if you want to be the person that shows your kids how to actually operate effectively and healthy, you have to heal. You can't walk around with your trauma, you can't walk around with your triggers. You can't get upset at every little thing. You got to figure out why you have this tick tick boom mentality, right? And you lashing out every single time. You have to go figure that out. You have to figure out why that isn't that's a thing for you. Why you're tick tick boom all the time. You know what I'm saying? That's not healthy. You getting angry at everything, it's not healthy. You letting your emotions get the best of you is not healthy. You being overly sensitive is not healthy. Making decisions with your emotions is not healthy. Not saying that emotions are bad. Emotions are not bad, but you have to be able to regulate it. And there's a majority of you that don't know how to regulate your emotions. Y'all get frustrated quickly. Y'all get upset very quickly. Y'all get an attitude over every little thing. Your energy is always off, right? And then on top of that, if you take in the fact that there's people that like to do recreational shit, that recreational stuff doesn't help at all. All it does is suppress. Some of it suppresses it, and some of it brings it to the forefront times 10. Okay? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I ain't gotta say it out loud. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Be mindful of all of that shit. You can't ignore the fact that you need to heal. Because what you're doing for our parents and for people that are not parents, you are literally passing all that shit down. You're passing all of that down to your children. And if you think your children don't see it, you are blind. They see everything. They're not going to vocalize it because some children know how to stay in the child's place. But don't mean that they're not embodying and they're not acting the way that you act. They see it all. You don't want to believe it, that's cool. But I promise you, they see it all. They do. You seen it when you were a kid. You didn't understand it, but you seen it. You were told that it was okay, but it wasn't. You had to put a mask on. That's the first time you ever put a mask on. You put a mask on to ignore the fact that it wasn't okay. You know that the things that you learned, you were taught, and you seen as a child was okay when it wasn't. Because it's toxic, bro. That's that negative person that I'm talking about. That's that negative person that I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? That's who that is. That's who that is. They're always the negative people, the people that are not doing what they're supposed to do for themselves as far as their healing is concerned and trying to be better, be more worried about what somebody else is doing. Because it's easier to focus on what somebody else is doing. It's a lot harder to sit there and focus on the things that you know that you're fucking up on and the things that you're supposed to be doing for yourself. They're not going to focus on that. It takes a lot of work to do that. It's not an easy thing to do. It's more uncomfortable to work on the things that you know that is not positive about yourself. It's more difficult. But it's easier for you to sit there and watch and be entertained by somebody else crashing out and doing things that they're not supposed to be doing. It's just honest, right? That's just as honest as I can make it. It's more they enjoy it more. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things. It's crazy work, but it's the truth. It's the truth. You know what I'm saying? One of the things that I want everybody to be aware of, right, is you're capable and you're able to call yourself out when shit doesn't go right. When you see yourself doing things that don't make no sense to you, and your body and your energy and everything will tell you if this shit don't make no sense. Do not ignore your body language. Do not ignore the energy that you feel. When your fucking chest feels weird and it feels like it's tightening in your body, you get all this little, energy in your stomach, like your stomach starts to do all this weird stuff and it starts to contort and do all these things. That's your body telling you maybe you shouldn't be here. Maybe this is not right. You know what I'm saying? Like you just get random headaches and all this stuff like that. Like when you know for a fact that you ain't supposed to be here or you're not supposed to be doing a certain thing, your body will tell you. We ignore those signs, but your body will tell you in real time. If you don't ignore it, I promise you, you're gonna be like, damn, he was right. Maybe I should listen to my body more often. It will tell you. Don't allow the blind loyalty and the blind trust in people that you quote unquote love and you rock with to have you ignore the signals that your body's giving yourself. It's giving you these signals for a reason. You ignore them and then shit goes south, and then you wonder why shit goes south, and then you want to blame that person for when shit goes south. No, blame your fucking self. Blame yourself because you felt it. You knew that shit felt wrong, but you went anyway. You knew that shit felt wrong, but you did it anyway. You knew you shouldn't be around this person, but you did it anyway. You knew you should have never stayed for a certain conversation, but you did it anyway. You ignored the signs that your body gave you that this shit wasn't right. If you don't believe me, the next time something like that happens and you feel that tightening in your chest or your stomach starts to contort or something, you know what I'm saying, starts doing these things, just move out the way. I guarantee you something's going to go south the moment that you leave or the moment that you just remove yourself. It happens every time. It never fails. It happens every time. And then you're going to be like, damn, I'm glad I got out of there. Damn, I'm so happy I removed myself. I knew I shouldn't be there in the first place, but I'm glad I removed myself because I listened to my body. I listened to myself. You know what I'm saying? It's important. It's important. You yourself have to become the leader of yourself. You have to become the leader of the things that you want to lead. Don't let anybody lead you that don't know how to lead, that can't even lead themselves, right? Someone that's not able to lead themselves, that's not able to see themselves or put themselves in the forefront, that is not a person that should be leading you. That's not a person that should be giving you advice. That is not a person that you need to be around, period. Like at all. And we know plenty of people that are like this. We can't ignore that. We have plenty of people like this in our life, whether they're family, friends, whoever. We have plenty of people We will always have the answers that we need within ourselves, right? It's always there. Don't let nobody tell you anything different. The problem is we ignore it, or we don't know how to view it when it's already there. We know the answers. We know when shit is fucked up, but we do it anyway. We know when things don't feel right, but we do it anyway. We know when somebody ain't supposed to lead us, but we let them lead us anyway. We know these things, right? You yourself just have to be able to pull the trigger, and whatever happens after that happens. If they don't want to fuck with you anymore because you moved out the way, so what? Their loss, not yours. If you become the conversation, the topic of conversation, the group chat conversation, and guess what? So fucking what? What people think about you is none of your fucking business. What they think about you don't matter. It's none of your business. Let them think what they want to think. Let them create the narrative that they want to create. Let them do what they want to do. Because at the end of the day, what's for you is for you. Who's for you is for you. And that's the healthiest way that you can go about it. Now there's certain circumstances where you might have to do what you have to do, but most times, gives a fuck. It's fucking words. Words can't do nothing to you. If you know who you are. If you can stand firm as a person that you are, then that shit don't affect you at all. I've been called all types of shit. Been called fake, been called a narcissist, been called a manipulator. I've been called all types of shit. But yet, you've never seen my name or my face in any situation. But I'm all these things. You ain't seen no drama, no fights, no nothing. Nothing. My name, people say what they want, but you don't see me reacting. What do I need to react for? What is that going to do? I know myself well enough to know that I'm not these things. I know people that know me well enough to know that I'm not these things. I don't need to validate who I am as a person for nobody. My kids know who I am. My kids know how I am. My lady knows how I am. My family knows how I am. The people that matter know how I know who I am and how I am. Everybody else don't fucking matter. They don't. If you want to be a part of this environment right here, you better come with some level of peace. I don't do negativity. I've already dealt with negativity. I was a negative person. I know what it looks like. It's not a good feeling. I've experienced it because I was that person. You know what I'm saying? So you have the choice to do whatever you feel like you need to do for you to make yourself better. But you have to be the one to pull that trigger. You have to be the one to want to be better. Can't nobody do it for you. Can't nobody put in the work for you. You can find somebody that can guide you to be better. You can find the therapist and the professional that can help you to be better, right? Even someone that's actually done the work can help you to be better, but they can't put in the work for you. They can give you the tools, they can give you everything that you need. You just have to be the one to put in the work. And you have to be willing to accept the fact that you're going to lose a lot of things in the process, right? Because all the things that you felt comfortable with, all the people you felt comfortable with, you're no longer going to feel comfortable with these people. You're not going to be the person that made them feel comfortable. You're going to be the opposite. You're most likely going to be the victim, or you're going to be the villain, the villain in somebody's story when you're actually trying to heal. They're going to become the victim, you're going to become the villain. Because you're no longer operating in a way that they can control you. So you have to be willing to accept the fact that you are about to be a villain. And it's not because you did anything bad. It's not because you did something to them. It's just because they can't control you anymore. They no longer have control. So now they have to find somebody that they can control. And it's not going to be you because they see how you're operating. They don't like peace. They don't like growth. They don't like these things. The things that you're doing makes them uncomfortable. So they moving away. Or they'll try to find a way to revert you back to the person that you were. But if you stand firm, it's not going to happen. It won't happen. You'll be able to actually do what you need to do and become the better version. I promise you, when they say the grass is greener on the other side, it is. It is. It can get lonely though at some points if you don't got nobody around you, but at least you know that when it's time for you to move around, you know who you are, right? You know how what makes you feel certain ways, you know how to operate. You start moving more with logic and emotional intelligence, right? You start being able to regulate the things that need to be regulated. You're at peace. The peace doesn't feel boring anymore. It just feels healing, serenity, relaxing. You know what I'm saying? Like you get all these good things that come out of that, right? When you remove yourself from that toxic environment, from that negative environment, from the people that enjoy it, you remove yourself. I'm telling you, it's a beautiful thing, but it takes a lot of work, and you have to be willing to put in the work. You know what I'm saying? So, um, we got what, 3 minutes left. So, I just want to let you guys. I just want to be real with you guys, right? We've all been in this situation. We've all been there. We've all been the person that was blind. We've all been the person that was broken and unaware and dumb. We've all been there. Nobody's perfect, right? Nobody's perfect. It's impossible to be perfect, right? But putting in the work, recognizing these things that you need to recognize, trying to protect your peace as much as possible from people that don't deserve your peace, that don't deserve your energy, right? If you want to be a leader on this side, lead with intentions. Be intentional about what you're doing and what you're putting out into the world. You know what I'm saying? Because the energy that you put out is what attracts. So if you want to attract positive and peace, you have to put that energy out there. If you want to attract negativity and bullshit, put that energy out there and see what happens. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna attract the things that you really don't want. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna attract the complete opposite. And then you're gonna get mad because you attracted that shit. So move with intentions, positive intentions. Lead with love. Lead with positivity. Lead with good energy. You know what I'm saying? Good vibes. All the good things. You know what I'm saying? Right? Move with love. It's not hard, people. It really isn't. It's not hard to move with love. It's not hard to move with love. When you start experiencing love for self, right? And you start recognizing love for self, and you start embracing love for self, moving with love is going to be very easy, right? Because you already have that energy for you. Why not show that to the world? Why not show the world that you can love yourself and put that energy out there and see what attracts, right? You're going to attract some good people because you're going to have boundaries. You're going to have standards. You're going to create healthy expectations, healthy boundaries. You're going to have all these good things going, right? And you're going to attract the people that need to be in your life. You're going to attract healthy people. You're going to attract people with healthy boundaries. You're going to attract good vibes, good energy. But if you keep going down the path of negativity and unhealed wounds, you're just going to attract those people. And you're going to attract manipulators, narcissists, and assholes. That's it. That's all you're going to attract going down this rabbit hole of negativity. Manipulators, narcissists, and assholes. Just being honest. But I will see you guys on the 13th because I do have 2 lives to do on the 13th. We have an interview that we're doing for Inside Your Mental, And then we have another live that I'm doing in regards to the men's mental health. So I appreciate you guys for being here. You guys are truly amazing. Thank you guys for all supporting. Make sure you guys go watch the replay on YouTube. If you have Spotify, don't leave yet. If you have Spotify, or if you don't have Spotify, download Spotify, okay? Because I'm posting all of these on Spotify. So you'll get the audio on the go, okay? Just look for Monumental Podcast on Spotify, or go to my link tree, which is in my bio on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch. And just go subscribe to the Spotify. You know what I'm saying? I already have like 4 or 5 episodes up there, so make sure you guys go check those episodes out. And this will be posted on there. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have this on the go. We're gonna have this on the go. We're working on Apple Music, on the Apple Podcast, because I know some people have that too. Working on it. It's gonna take some time, but for now, have Spotify. You know what I'm saying? Rock it out over there. But we're gonna do what we can to get everything out for you guys. I really do appreciate you guys for being here. So, in a world full of negativity, make sure y'all choose love and love on purpose. Keep life simple. Love is the glue. Respect is the flavor. You dig, you dig, you dig. Make sure y'all live within your value energy and not pity the fool who doesn't mind their mental.